Hello again, everybody. This is Decluttr Me, a podcast about organizing and decluttering your life. This is episode 10. As always, I'm with your host, Shelina. Hey there.
Hey, Shrek.
We're in the double digits now.
We are, and this is a big one, so we're gonna...
You're gonna make it special?
Yeah, we'll make it special. My super duper special tips, which I use for all clients and I talk about all the time, and I have mentioned in other podcasts, but I wanted to collaborate them and move them all into one podcast. So this is my definitive tips.
So this is the definitive list that if you follow, you would lead a pretty like a really organized life.
Exactly. You will live the Decluttr Me life. So the main thing is always keep it simple. I often have clients and followers say, they've seen this method on Pinterest, or they read a book from a certain Japanese author and she has this system of how to organize, but it's too complicated. It takes too much time. If it takes you time to fold an item of clothing to then put into a special drawer that will fit that item of clothing, that will take you time and that will cost you money. The whole thing with having an organized system is to reduce the amount of time it takes you to do anything with regards to that item. Of course, everything should take 5 seconds to be found, so that's the other point as well. So if you keep the organized system simple, you'll find everything in 5 seconds. So that is my main mantra. Yes, it's lovely having these fancy systems that you see on YouTube or you see on Pinterest, but bear in mind, those systems are just for the cameras. All these fancy things, people don't use them a lot of the time. They're for special magazines or for the videos to get lots of clicks and views. They're not actually used in a day-to-day life. And if they are, that person is already very organized mentally anyway, and it's part of their life already. So for you, if you're not naturally organized, you're not going to be able to handle using the system like that.
Yeah, and I think as well, just as humans, I mean, the way we think, if the setup of something or the time it takes to put something in its place, it's longer than the time it takes to actually deal with it, then, we're not going to put it in its place, right? We might set it aside to deal with it later, but we won't put it in its place. So I think, the setup of the system, the organizing system and so on, can take time, and that's where you invest the initial time. But once you do, the system should be simple enough that you'd want to do it day in and day out.
Exactly. And you said as well to have a place to put something, and that's the other mantra. And then this mantra has been out there forever and ever, and it's have a place for everything. So everything that you own you should be able to put it away somewhere, and it should be easy to put it away there, and it should be a simple system. So if it takes you too long, as you said, you're not going to do it. So you're going to end up just throwing it on the chair or throwing it on the floor even, or just not putting it away in the proper place. So have a place for everything. And when you buy something, think about that as well. Do you have a place for that item when you come home? And if you don't, then you have to use the 2-for-1 rule, which is if you buy one thing, you get rid of 2 things, which is another one of my tips that I say all the time. It helps to reduce the amount of clutter in your house eventually. If you do buy something and you're bringing it into the house, you have to get rid of 2 items to make sure that there's a place for the new item coming in and a place for other things as well. So you're freeing more space in your life, and also, in your cupboards, in your wardrobes, on your counters, etc. So those are my main tips. And the final one is FAT, which I love using for emails and paper. And as we've discussed before, that one means file, act and toss. So what you have to do, say you get an email come into your inbox, what you have to do is look at that email and see, first of all, do you have to action it, or do you file it away, or can you just toss it away? So if you can file it away straight into a folder which you've designated, and that gets out of your inbox. If you have to act on it, that means, do you have to forward it to someone to delegate for them to do the work on it? Do you have to answer it, and will it take a few minutes to answer, or will it take longer? Or do you have to create a calendar invite? Do you have to do something on it? If you have to do something for it, act on it immediately, and then either file it or trash it, which is the final aspect, which is if you get an email, especially spam, we get so much spam here, act on it by unsubscribing first of all, and then throw it away in the bin. Like if you get an email and you don't need to do anything with it, or it's not of interest and you don't want to reply, just delete it, get rid of it out of your mailbox. But the thing to also think about, and I mean, even for me, sometimes I'm at home and I don't want to wash the dishes, or I don't want to put something away. it will take a few seconds to do that. It will take me 30 seconds to wash a dish and put it away in its cupboard. Whereas if you accumulate it, just leave it lying there and having lots of things, it will take you minutes to then clean it and deal with it and put it away. So if you do the action now, so if you come home, take off your clothes, throw it on the floor, you'll have a pile of clothes eventually. But if you put it away straight away, you know, whether it be in the laundry or back in the wardrobe, that will take less than 10 seconds to do. And if you put it away in the logical, simple system that you have, it'll take you 5 seconds to find it when you need it again. So think of it in that way. You're saving yourself seconds in the long run. If you let everything accumulate in that space and clutter up, it will take longer to deal with it.
Yeah, and then like looking at something like that and thinking like it's going to take me an hour just to get through that, and that's a bad area right there.
Yeah, so these are the 5 points that I like to remind people over and over again. So keep it simple. Everything should take 5 seconds to find. Have a place for everything. If you do buy something, get rid of 2 things. And if you're dealing with anything, whether it be emails, paper, anything that comes in your life, think about FAT. So file, act, toss. And if you use all of those, you will start having an organized Decluttr Me life.
So it's almost like a highlights episode, this one. We've talked about some of the systems that we just referred to, like file, act, and toss, or the 5-second rule, or, the get rid of 2 things for every 1 thing you buy and stuff on previous episodes. And I'll link to them in the show notes here so you can go back if you want to, get a little bit more into any of the systems with more examples and actual tips to how to get them set up. So you can do that. But, this was sort of a quick, like a review or overview of those systems that that Shelina has been recommending and how to get to them.
Yeah, this is something that we'll keep on repeating over and over again. So it will become a mantra. But this is a way to remind you if ever you need a quick shot reminder of how you should be organizing yourself. This is a good way to remind yourself.
Awesome. And as always, if you can share how people can get a hold of you and follow you to get more tips and tricks.
They can get in touch with me at declutterme.com and fill in the contact form, and I will get in touch with them as soon as possible. And also they can follow me on Decluttr Me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
As always, guys, you can follow the show in any podcast player of your choice. Just look for Decluttr Me. That's DECLUTTR space ME. If you haven't subscribed to the show yet, we'd love it if you did. You can also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser or wherever you get your podcast. You can find more information about the show notes, and other details by visiting declutterme.com/podcast. And we'll see you again next week.